Hey guys, it's Caitlin from Crafting Should Be Messy, and I'm putting this video together because I've been playing around with Waterslide Decal Paper, and there's a couple of things I discovered that I want to go over. So for those of you that have never heard of Waterslide Decal Paper, or maybe you're brand new to it, it is a glossy paper that you can print on, and I use this Hayes paper company that's made for an inkjet printer, and I used the clear. What it is, it's a glossy piece of paper that you can print right through your printer on, and then you use 3 coats of acrylic, and I used Krylon acrylic for this, the spray-on kind. I just got it at Michael's. And you're going to apply 3 coats of that, really light coats, over the top of your printed design. Now, in the directions on the back, it tells you to allow each coat to dry for 60 seconds. I'm not sure where the disconnect is, but on Krylon it says 15 to 20 minutes. And when I tried the 60 seconds, my ink just ran. So I would recommend letting your each acrylic coat dry for about 15 minutes. So the entire process probably takes about 45 minutes or so. I did it between other things, so I just kind of left it sitting out on my porch. You want to make sure that you're spraying that acrylic in a well-ventilated area because it is pretty stinky. It's the same as like spray paint. I would recommend putting something down underneath it as well because it's clear, but it is, you know, a coat of spray. So you're gonna go ahead and print out your design, and then you spray 3 thin coats of acrylic over the top of it, and then you're ready to go. Now for mine, I chose to use my Cricut to make this. So I used the print then cut option in Cricut Design Space. And what that does is it allows you to print, put the acrylic on, and then you can run it through your Cricut to have it cut it out. What you can do is either put like a blank rectangle behind it so that your Cricut cuts out that rectangle, or in my case, I added a really thin outline in Procreate that my Cricut was then able to follow, and it cut right around the outside of my design. As I was going into this experiment, I had already done one project, and I had a couple of people reach out to me suggesting that I put my design on mirrored. And that idea really was interesting to me, and I started to do some research. And there are a lot of videos on mirroring your Waterslide decal. The thing that I wasn't sure about is I was just putting this on mugs, so there's not going to be any resin over the top of it. I'm not putting an epoxy top coat. If you're creating a tumbler, often you would use a top coat over whatever your design is. But for just a regular mug, I wasn't sure what is on, this is the paper, what is on this paper, and if I mirror it, is the back side of it equivalent to the 3 coats of acrylic that the instructions tell you to put on. So the way that you're supposed to put Waterslide paper on is you dip it in water and then you slide the decal off of the backing and put it onto your object at the same time. The opposite would be to lay it down flat with the backing face side up and just slide the backing off. I can see where if you were putting resin over the top of it, this makes a lot of sense, but I wanted to see what would happen if I just put it on a mug and I didn't do any top coat or anything after it was done, if it would wear the same way as the instructions tell you to. I went ahead and I took my design, and first I added it the normal way. So you're gonna take your design and you're gonna put it into a bowl of room temperature water, and the instructions say from 30 to 60 seconds. I did mine for about 35 to 40. And then I took that out of there. I added a little bit of water to the surface of my mug. And then I very, very carefully just tested to see if that design on the acrylic would slide up off the backing. Because I was able to really easily get it to slide, I knew it was ready, and I set just the very top of the design on my mug, very carefully held my finger down and slid the backer out. Then you want to kind of smooth it onto the ceramic, and then I went to a dry paper towel to help get all of the wrinkles out and start to dry the design. You want to be really delicate with this because it is fairly easy to tear it. So you want to use really light pressure when you're taking the water off and getting the wrinkles out, but overall it's not a very difficult process. So second, I wanted to try the reverse. So when I printed my designs, I did one the normal way, and then the other one I flipped the design. And what I did when I applied this one, again, put it in the water for 35 to 40 seconds. Then I tested it to make sure that it would move a little bit off the backer, but then I just plopped it face down onto the mug so the backing was facing towards me. I found it a lot harder to slide the backing off this way, and it seemed like it didn't catch on the ceramic quite as much. As soon as I pulled the backing off, I could tell that the finish on the mirrored one was not the same as the acrylic. So I chose to use a shiny acrylic because I was using a shiny ceramic. And when you mirror the design, it definitely has, it's still shiny, but I would consider it more of, it's not quite matte, it's kind of like a satin, if that makes sense. So you could definitely see the decal stand out against the ceramic a little bit more right away. And then I found it much harder to get the wrinkles out. So it was tougher and it wasn't as smooth to kind of get it onto the ceramic and get all the wrinkles and air bubbles out of it. And it felt almost a little bit tacky. So I just found it a lot more difficult to kind of smooth that out properly. Once they were done, I mean, they both looked fairly similar. You can see that the shine is a little bit different. I definitely had a little bit more trouble getting the mirrored one smoothed out, but you know, they were both on there. They both looked decent. I went ahead and baked the mugs after 3 hours. The directions tell you to wait for 3 hours, and then you bake it at 230 degrees for 10 to 15 minutes. I think I did mine for 12. Then I let them cool completely, let them sit there, and I decided to try scrubbing them. So this is the big thing that I wanted to find out. If you mirror the design and you don't put any top coat over the top of it, this is excluding tumblers, will it scrub off? And what I found was that yes, the mirrored design does not hold up as well as if you follow the directions. So while it might be easier for some people to put it on mirrored, if you're not putting a coat of epoxy over the top of it, I do not recommend mirroring Waterslide Decal. However, if you're looking for a nice, easy way to put a design that's maybe fairly intricate onto a mug, Waterslide Decal is a really great way to do that. It could go onto glass, acrylic, wood. There's a ton of opportunity with it, and you can make some really cool stuff. And honestly, it's just really fun to play with.